Hey John, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
So, I'm very good, thanks. So we got another month in the books, and the summer market has come to an end. It's certainly been an interesting summer. Last month we talked about the slumber of summer, and that certainly continued throughout the month of August. We saw things down. Now we're heading into September. We're a couple of days into September. There's been a hell of a lot of news going on out there, not just around real estate, but the country and economics in general, which obviously trickles down and has an impact on the real estate market. So what do you think about everything that's been going on out there today?
Well, I mean, as we know, and I think everybody is probably familiar, summer was very quiet. We did not see a lot of activity in July or August. And seasonally, that's actually not unusual. It's just on the heels of a slow spring as well. It was a bit disappointing, I think, for those who maybe are experiencing a longer time on market. But we've had three rate cuts now. We just had third one, quarter point this week. We've also had poor unemployment data as well this week. So as you say, lots of interesting news out there. Some good,
Yeah.
some not so great. I think for a lot of folks, a quarter point is good news. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're going in the right direction, but I also think it's not going to change their world. And even three of them stacked up, we know there's more coming. That's basically the tune that we've heard from the Bank of Canada and the Fed in the U.S. Um, so there's probably a few people who are going to say, well, no, I'm going to wait longer. I want to see rates come down lower. Of course, there's a risk in that you may see prices go up a little bit, but at the moment, I think what we're seeing is likely a fall market that will have a little bit of life injected into it. We'll keep it buoyant. That's I think the outcome of what we're seeing with the rate cut, and I think beyond that, next year, next spring, it could get interesting, but that's many months away still.
Yeah, I think just looking at where we are in the market, I think definitely we've been treading in that buyer's market territory for quite some time now. Obviously, over the summer, sales were slow, and we did have some new product come on the market. I think the mix of inventory that's out there is really impacting what's being sold as well. There's a lot of
Mm.
properties out there that are maybe not up to date as much as people are looking for, and more so around that budgetary perspective. Like people can't afford to go in and pay top dollar for a house and then still have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to bring it up to date. So those homes that are not updated are probably sitting out there if they haven't reduced the price, and those that got to sell are definitely putting more downward pressure, having more downward pressure on them to have to come down. I tend to see the ones that are selling being either homes that are updated and got some additional features to them that are attracting the buyers in, or they're homes that are selling in a fire sale type of environment. We're still hearing a lot of noise out there about people that are really getting to their limit with regards to mortgage renewals and that, and they're trying to make a move ahead of time on that. So if you're a buyer, I think it's definitely a market you should be active in. Even if you're dealing with an interest rate, if you buy in this type of market, get a longer closing, you pick up the benefit of those future rate cuts that are coming. We're hearing a lot more noise out there about people going back to variable rate mortgages, which I mean they died over the last 2 years.
Hmm.
But we're also seeing fixed rates come down and become more and more competitive. So there's a lot of things happening there that are to a buyer's advantage. And if they're strategic in how they buy with regards to closing and whatnot, they could certainly pick up those future benefits while getting the benefit of a buyer's market today. That being said, when those rates do start coming down, I think a lot of people are coming off summer vacation, kids back to school, life getting back to normal. They're going to start to get out and start looking at what's happening. And you're going to possibly see that uptick in the fall market of those buyers coming off the sidelines because they have gotten some relief over the summer and now they're ready to pull the trigger. So, do I think it's going to be a boon for the market? Absolutely not. But I think we're going to see an uptick, and those that are strategic and plan properly, I think will get to take advantage of that.
Yeah, the rate cut, as I said, I mean, I think it's going to add a little bit of life. It will pull a few people off the sidelines. Many have been kind of watching and waiting for some time. But it's interesting, you talked about houses and the mix of what's available, renovated or not. I'm seeing far more turnkey properties getting buyers excited than I am seeing
Absolutely.
renovation projects. And we've heard news over the last few months from retailers like Home Depot that are all saying their business is down. People aren't doing as many renovations.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think that's absolutely true. And pricing. If you're priced attractively, you're going to get showings. And if you're not, you are like, it's going to be crickets. You're not going to like,
Yeah,
no one's coming to look at your house if they think you're out to lunch on the price.
absolutely. And we're seeing that out there. I mean, overall data on showings as well, not just on sales are down, but overall showing activity is down in general as well.
Hmm.
So there's been a dip across the board. These people are sitting on the sidelines, they're shopping on their phones, they're looking at what's going on out there with the listed homes, and they're just saying, you know what, I don't want to take that project on, or that doesn't tick enough boxes for us, so they're sitting. So I think you're going to see a bit of upward pressure as those buyers do start to come back out. But you're also going to see a lot of people that have held off listing their property. They're going to start coming to market. And what's going to happen is those homes that have been done, that are in better, updates done to those homes, they're going to come on the market and they're going to sell quicker than the ones that have been sitting out there because they need the work done to them. So
Yeah.
there's a bit of strategy to all of that. I think we're going to see some of that activity over the next 6 to 8 weeks, and that'll lead us into the winter months, and we'll see what happens between there and the spring market. And I think really just comes down to what happens going in the winter weather wise, if that spring market's going to start in January, if it's going to start in March, April. But I think with the rate announcements that we're hearing, that we've received, and the news that we're hearing out of the Bank of Canada, I think that trend is going to continue, and that'll just make it more and more attractive for buyers to get out. The other big thing that we'd love to see, whether or not they're going to address it or not, is that 2% qualifier rate. Like
Mm.
that's holding a lot of people up right now. You got to qualify at the posted rate plus 2%. That takes somebody who can get a 4.8% mortgage, having to qualify at the posted rate of 5.25 plus 2. So they're qualifying at 7.25 when they can actually get a rate of 4.8, and that's really impacting the amount of money they can get.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. I mean, I haven't heard much talk about that amongst mortgage broker circles, that people I talk to in that area. But it would be interesting if it happened. Do I think it'll happen? Probably not,
I
especially
don't think
with
so.
rate
Not yet.
cuts. That the view will be that, well, these rate cuts should make it easier for buyers. But um, and the interesting thing is, if we get to 3.75 by end of year, but that means by next spring, if they continue their downward march a quarter point each time, you're close to 3% overnight lending rate, which is a big difference from where we were even just a few months ago.
Absolutely. Makes a huge difference on what people are paying. So if I definitely think there's more positivity out there right now from that side. And obviously, there's a lot of noise out there from an economic position, but for buyers and sellers out there, I think there might be some light at the end of the tunnel. Again, we don't have a crystal ball to predict that, but if we look backwards, which we can see and talk factually about, if we look at August numbers, I think we saw a lot of what we saw in July, and actually lower. I think sales continued, or I don't think the stats are showing that sales were down month over month. A lot of neighborhoods were down year over year. Pricing stayed relatively flat. I don't see a huge drop in pricing, but again, you got to take that with a grain of salt based on the mix of homes that sold and the
Mm-hmm.
condition of them. But overall, it was a pretty soft summer. And the ones that did buy, I mean, I had several clients that we were able to buy over the summer. And go back to that previous conversation we were just having, they were buying homes they didn't have to do work in. Nobody wanted to be moving in and hiring contractors to
Oh
build
yeah,
their house.
turnkey.
That's it. I mean, we walked in the houses and walked out as fast as we walked in because they wanted something that I don't have to live in a construction zone. So, I mean,
Well, and it just goes to show, and sometimes you don't even have to get there to know this. Sometimes you're not sure, wasn't presented great online, but if you've got good quality photos and you're highlighting, uh, a nice product, it's been renovated or updated over the last few years. If it's priced attractively and it looks nice, you're going to get eyeballs on it. You're going to get a lot of showings, and we've
yep.
seen that. I mean, it's night and day difference. Like a listing that's maybe not quite as sharp on the price and doesn't show quite as well, you might get a couple showings in a week. The other end of the spectrum, you're priced attractively and you've got a good product to show, you might have 20 showings in that week, and it's a night and day difference. But that's what
Well, what I
buyers want.
found looking at the mix of homes, I still think it's the lower price homes that are definitely selling still. You still got that, 1.2 million and less that are still selling strong.
Yeah.
I think the luxury homes, so let's talk 3 million plus, they don't get the same amount of attention in the sense of showings. You'll get a tenth of the showings on those properties, but I think we're still seeing, I mean, even looking this week, there's been a $10 million sale, an $8 million sale, a $6 million sale in this area. I mean, those luxury homes are selling. They take a bit longer to sell. They get less activity, but we're seeing sales. It's the middle, it's the upgrade, the upsize homes, that 1.2, 1.5 up to that 2.5 range where people are stepping up in home. That's still the market that really is dragging right now and is tied to all these interest rates.
Well, I mean, I don't think prices are going to go much lower, and I think that's why you're seeing some of those luxury sales happening at high prices. Is that, you know, wealthier folks, and many of them are bright people. They recognize these things as well, and they think, well, it's not going to go much lower. Now's our time. And so when you start seeing sales like that happen, and frankly, they've been happening, I would say, much of this year.
Yep.
You know, I think there's a message in that, and of course, you know, it doesn't necessarily, you know, it's easy to dismiss it if you're not at that price point, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's a bit of a tail there, and I think it's telling.
Absolutely, I agree. So predictions for September?
I think we'll see a little bit of an uptick in activity. I think we'll see that might result in a slight uptick in price. I don't think we're going to see further declines. You know, I hope I'm not wrong on that. But I think a little bit of life. Kids are back in school. Vacations are over. 3 rate cuts, and you know, hopefully a busier couple months before we get to winter.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see an explosion of inventory. I think we're going to see a lot of people that have been sitting on the sidelines as sellers are going to start to come back out and going to get ready to hit the market. So we'll definitely see a jump in inventory. I think we'll see a jump in sales activity. Will it keep pace with the number of listings? We'll see how that plays out. But I think it's going to be a bit deceiving because we're going to see a jump in inventory. We're going to see a jump in sales. That means, you know, buyer-seller market's going to be a little bit off in what you're looking at. You see a big jump in activity, but if a lot more inventory comes on, it's going to be a superficial number we're looking at there. So you got to really read between the lines. And I think it's going to be really geographically located. I think certain neighborhoods are going to see a great amount of activity, and other neighborhoods are probably still going to lag a little bit because it's going to come down to where am I going to live, what benefits are living in this area, where are the ones that are getting the highest amount of volume. So I think that'll be the tail of the tape for September. And that'll continue into October. Hopefully, by the time we get to the end of October, Bank of Canada chops again, which will be hopefully at least another quarter point, and that should keep that trend going.
Yeah, that'll give you a little bit more life in November when things typically start winding down for the holidays. So I'd like to see that, and you know, shut it down mid-December for the holidays.
That's kind of what happens, right? By the time we get to mid-December, people said, "Okay, enough. I want to put the Christmas tree up," and things
don't
like
want
that.
people coming through their house once that's done.
That's it, and it kind of slows down until about the middle of January. But spring market starts earlier and earlier every year, it seems. So if Mother Nature keeps at bay with any big storms in January, February, we could see a robust market as early as then. So time will tell, but all trends are pointing in the right direction.
Okay, well, until next month.
All right,
Happy selling.
Happy selling. We'll talk soon.
All right, see ya.